Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're taking a look at the Ripple XRP price chart. We're also going to take a look over there at the Bitcoin price chart. Last night we did do a live stream through the monthly candle close. We did get the monthly candle closes that we were looking for. We expected that, of course, over here on the XRP price chart. Really, the only thing we needed was a close above 30.5 cents. A lot of new people to this market are probably going to be like, well, what's the big deal? That was a long time ago. I've bought in the 50s, I bought in the 60s, I bought in the 70s. I'm more worried about what's going on up here. But in the end, we have to look at this market from a long-term perspective and a big macro perspective on how we're going to get to the targets that we're hoping to get to. And this was a huge step for the XRP price chart to finally break above 30.5 cents. We haven't done it in a year and 4 months. It's been a historical resistance level for us, a historical support and a historical resistance, and finally an absolute crushing blow to that resistance, finally breaking out and closing the entire month above there. So first steps first, we got what we were looking for. Congrats. Last night was a lot of fun. It was a good time. One thing I don't think we expected yesterday, at least I didn't expect it yesterday, is that when I knew I was going to do a live stream into that monthly candle close, but I didn't expect that we would also be looking at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was up near the all-time high during that candle close. Over on the Bitstamp chart, the one that we were watching, Bitcoin did close slightly above the previous all-time high that was set back in 2017. However, when we look at charts like Bitfinex, we look at Coinbase, we look at Binance, it closed just a hairline below the previous all-time high. While all those charts did set new all-time highs, the monthly candles did not close necessarily above the previous all-time high. So we have some charts that did close above it, some charts that didn't. And while what are we seeing this morning? We're seeing a pullback throughout crypto. You can look over there on the right side of the screen over here, lots of red throughout the market. We're having a pullback from Bitcoin's previous all-time high, or I guess you could call it new all-time high. When we zoom in here on the XRP price chart, we can see this morning that we're down 6%. At one point, we were down like 10 to 12% with a pullback down to this support level that we have back down in here, back testing this one. In the end, we are in an accumulation zone. We're in a slop zone. The thing that will make people very uneasy, it'll make emotions go rampant and wild, is that the accumulation zone is huge. The accumulation zone comes all the way down to this gap, way down here at the bottom, all the way up to here. So this is a normal accumulation zone, and it would be completely normal if the accumulation continues all the way back down into this level. The problem is it's a huge zone, so you're going to see emotions swing all over the place. We're looking at 30% to the downside. We're looking at 40% to the upside. We're looking at a huge region, and these types of percentage moves historically have shown big emotional swings in investors. We saw that with just a 30% pullback that took place back in here, right? If we look back at what happened back in this one, how deep is this guy right here? The one that we just suffered through for the longest time, that was 33%. You saw the emotions swing, you saw the capitulation, you saw the despair, you saw the sadness of people, right? And yet here we are, just moving up and down in the range in the accumulation zone, seeing those types of swings could happen daily. We talk about Fibonacci retracements all the time, and everything is just normal. We see that we topped, we pulled back to the bottom. If you remember correctly, this was only a week ago. We had set this bottom, expected that a slightly newer lower low would get hit. I was a little cryptic over there on my Twitter, feel the fear and do it anyway on November 26th. Then on November 26th, we bounce out of there and we rise a massive amount, right? We might rise, 47%. Now we're still in accumulation. None of the retracement levels have been broken. We could start getting really excited so long as we break above here. We break above 72 cents and we have conviction in that breakout. We can expect that, hey, it's time for us to start moving up higher. Otherwise, we're here in our accumulation zone. The problem is it's massive. I've referenced to this as just being a slop zone. And until we finally get above this level, above 72 cents, it will remain that way. And my expectations are that so long as this gap is down here, so long as we have not breaking above these resistances, anything is possible to pull all the way back down to here. And I'll remain with my conviction in saying this: I don't think that level will break. That is the bottom. That's it. However, while we're in the slop zone, we could go anywhere, which is why it's so important to really take a bigger zoomed out look on this chart, right? We get so sucked into these small time frames. I know a lot of times we get in here, especially when you're first time buying into crypto, you buy into excitement. You're not buying when things are, sad. I mean, the narrative that if you're not in the market, you're like, oh, that crypto, I'm not going to touch that stuff. It's nothing, right? And then it gets really exciting. The prices pump and you hear about it and you're like, oh man, I don't want to miss out on that. If it's going to be something, let me get in on it. So you buy in after the pump is happening, and then the price doesn't keep going with the pump. And you say, well, wait a minute, what just happened? It went up 200% in a week and I'm sitting here in this bag. But the reality is, look, just take a step back. It still is super, super, super exciting. And we're so at the beginning of this thing. At 62 cents, we still have a long ways to go to the upside, in my opinion. The thing is, it doesn't just happen overnight. These things can take a long time sometimes. Like in this one right here, this is like 90 something days that we got stuck down in here before we finally fired up hundreds of percentage points. Go find an investment anywhere in the world that is going to do that it's going to go up hundreds of percent in a matter of just a couple of months. I mean, if we look back from what happened since it's bottomed, it's up 421% since March. Go find another investment that's going to do that in 7, 9, whatever months, right? Where you can get up hundreds of percentage points. The thing is, people want it that day, right now. I don't want to see anything to the downside. I want zero downside. I want only up. And I understand that. And that's part of the emotions of being invested and being an investor. And especially in this market that is so incredibly volatile that, it can just be all over the place all the time. But the reality is, from where we're at in this market, we still have a long ways to go up. And the reason why we did a live stream last night and the reason why we were celebrating this 30.5 cents is some of us have been here for years, right? And not only that, spent over a year, like a year and a half being stuck underneath 30.5 cents. That's patience, right? That's really a lot of patience. Sitting there in the 17s, sitting there in the 20s. We always kept making this reference and this joke of saying that, people will tell us, hey, you were lucky for getting in at that price. It wasn't luck. It was grueling. It was very, very difficult. It was very painful. There was a lot of loud voices. There was a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There was a lot of people telling us we weren't going to make it. But we had the faith and we stuck through it through really hard times for a very long time. So we're 2 weeks into, are we even 2 weeks? What are we? Let's take a look. No, that's absolutely not 2 weeks. What is this? This is like 7 days. 7 days since we hit 79 to 93 cents. So, yeah, I mean, we just been in a couple of days. It's just literally, the thing is, when we look out on a zoomed out approach and we really kind of look at this, it's an extremely exciting time. If we even just look at monthly candles and we say, okay, well, that was our first monthly candle that we've posted. We've been following what we've done in the past. And we line up the top of our monthly candle over here with what we did right now. Where does that get us, right? That gets us right there at that same level right there. And then we look at the extension of how that takes out. And that takes us out to exactly where we're trying to go, right up there in that $10 to $13, $14 range. So it's incredibly exciting to see that our candle actually did precisely what we did back in here. The fractal has been perfect up until here. So the fractal's looking the same on the monthly time frame, weekly time frame, daily time frame. Structurally, it's all perfect. And then the timing of it as well, with Bitcoin being at its all-time high and then XRP breaking out and doing the same thing it did last time Bitcoin was at its all-time high, right here in March of 2017. So patience. Large accumulation zone, 30% to the downside, 40% to the upside, big swings in that accumulation zone. But in order to see prices rise 2,000% from where they're currently at, a 30% accumulation zone is reasonable. So let's take a quick peek around the rest of the market. I'm going to use the Coinbase chart today because I'm starting to have a little bit of concerns about that Bitstamp chart that we've usually referenced to. It has the most historical data. It takes us all the way back to like 2012, but it's the only one that had a monthly candle close above the previous all-time high. We didn't get that over there on Bitfinex. We didn't get it on Coinbase. We didn't get it on Binance. So I'm going to use the Coinbase chart today as we look over here at Bitcoin. I'm going to move this back to the monthly time frame so we can talk about this chart really fast. One thing is we could see where these previous monthly candles closed last time. So when we look at the previous bull market, we were not able to have a monthly candle close above 14,000. You could see in June of 2019, this was also the same resistance level that we saw over here on Bitcoin. Not last month anymore, but October, we were unable to close above this level, and November was the big massive breakout, which of course was the big massive breakout for the XRP price chart. Now, the big thing we're looking for here on Bitcoin is whether or not it's going to just start exploding to the upside, and we're only going to end up having one alt season where these altcoins just all take off, like we've been talking about with XRP. Is it going to $13 and then, hey, that's the end of it, $10 to $13, that's the end of it, time to sell into USD and walk away for a while? Or are we going to see a bigger pullback here on Bitcoin, and we're going to see the altcoins really take off and we end up having two separate alt seasons throughout the entire bull run. So for me right now, when I say, all right, what's a reasonable level that Bitcoin could pull back to and it wouldn't startle me, it wouldn't make me think something's broken on the chart? Well, I just look at it like this and I say, okay, well, I understand that we weren't able to close above 14,000 over here. I see that that was the resistance. I see that we were not able to get through it during October, and we had a big breakout here. We had a breakout in XRP too. So hey, this was a breakout level. What do you usually see in breakouts? You usually see some type of a back test. So will we see some type of back test down in there into the high 13,000s? It's possible. If it happened, it wouldn't startle me because I'm looking at the chart like this and saying that would be reasonable. So I'm not predicting that that's going to happen, but I am saying if it did, boy, it sure looks like it would be reasonable and normal for it to do it. That would also increase the probability for those two different alt seasons. So last time in our previous bull market for Bitcoin and for the altcoins, Bitcoin had to work this zone out quite a bit before it was able to break out, and that's when we saw the alt season take place. So we can expect, or at least I expect, that there will be an alt season that takes place at the top of Bitcoin's parabolic run. I think the top of that thing will come in somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000. If we get some type of alt season taking place in here where XRP shoots off to that $10 to $13 range, well then I would think that there could be a potential for a second alt season after that. So I won't be upset at Bitcoin pulling back in here. Most of my portfolio is in the altcoins. I'm betting on there being two different alt seasons. If not, mathematically, I'll still do even better being in the altcoins than being in Bitcoin, because the percentage rise for Bitcoin from this level right here, it can only go up 300% from here before I'm selling out of Bitcoin. So there's not a huge percentage for me here left in Bitcoin. The percentages left are in the altcoins for me. That's where the biggest rises can take place. So most of my portfolios in the altcoins. I only own some Bitcoin in case of that scenario. In case Bitcoin takes off first, then I'll sell out of my Bitcoin and I'll buy me some altcoins. But in the end, I'm totally fine with Bitcoin taking a break right here. If it wants to pull back into the high 13,000s, fine with me as well. So as we still hang out in the accumulation range, remember, my expectation is still that we're going to at least move up to $2 before we find another big resistance level. It's normal. I don't think we're ever going to see the consolidation of what we saw previously, where the market was just so flat like we had to deal with back in here. Look at these daily candles down here and how flat this is. I think we are now in a volatile market. I think we're going to be seeing these big percentages every day, whether they're up, whether they're down. I think we're going to see multi-percentages every day. It's a day trader's dream, but with those big swings, we'll see a lot of emotional voices out there. But in the end, keeping our heads straight like we always have on this channel, keeping the targets in sight. My expectation, I'm looking for $2. After that, consolidate again, and then, well, off we go to the big targets. And then that's where Bitcoin will tell us if we've got more left in it or if that's going to be the end. But we'll watch it, we'll analyze it, and we'll figure that out when the time comes. One thing to keep in mind is that now that prices have been rising, we're seeing lots of those outlandish predictions coming again. We're seeing the $1,000 price target. We're seeing the $589, hundreds of dollars, right? And you're going to see that as this market grows and as more people get into it, those are going to get louder, and it's very easy to understand why they will. So all the people who got in the 20s and in the teens, they're going to be super happy with that $10, $13, $14, $15, whatever it is. They're going to be super happy. The percentages were there. They made a huge return on their investment. But the people who are buying when the price hits, $1.50, $2, in order for them to make really large gains, they're going to need that price to go up to $100. They're going to need that price to go up to $500 or whatever, because from a percentage standpoint, they just don't have much to gain by it only going to $10. So you're going to see a lot of cheerleading, a lot of hooting and hollering for these expectations of $1,000. You're going to see huge followings of people predicting these things. But in the end, I try to keep my head on straight, understanding where this market is going. And well, 10 to 13, you better believe it. I'm getting out the narrative. In order for there to be buyers at that $10 to $13, you may say to yourself, why would anybody actually buy it, right? If you're thinking, I'm going to be the one selling at that price level, why would anybody actually buy it up there from me? And it's because they will be believing that the price will go to $1,000. And that's why they're going to buy it off you at 10, thinking it's cheap, expecting 1,000. So just thought I'd throw that out there. And, of course, I've got everything outlined plan that I talk about in here on bcbacker.com. It's my educational content. It's my course. It's $39. I've got 19 videos with 4.5 hours of content on here where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the different altcoin seasons. And I talk about my exit plans based on what we can hope to expect here in the cryptocurrency market based on what we've seen in the past. Talk about a lot of the pitfalls that you can fall into here in crypto and a lot of the things that I've just learned that were incredibly valuable to me over time. And I wish I had learned them at the very beginning. But one of these things with, having a plan, having expectations, so you don't fall for those traps there at the end when things do get really exciting, and creating your own plan and figuring out how are you going to play this market properly. So I outline exactly how I'm planning on playing this market, what my expectations are, and how I'll do it all. So you can check this out over here on bcbacker.com. Follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And well, it's an exciting time. The fact that we're talking about all the people expecting $1,000 means we're on our way, man. We're on our way in this bull run. It's exciting. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.